Redskins playoff hopes effectively doused with 38-14 blowout by Cowboys. Arlington, Tex. Against a Dallas Cowboys team mired in a 3-game losing streak, the Washington Redskins simply had to do the basics Thursday night to avenge an early season defeat and keep their slim playoff hopes alive. They needed to score early to take the crowd of 91,712 out of the equation at AT&T Stadium. And, as Coach Jay Gruden had put it earlier in the week, they needed to avoid shooting themselves in the foot. They did neither in their most hapless performance of the season, turning the ball over 3 times before they converted a single third down. That late developing window of opportunity came with barely 2 minutes remaining in the first half, when the game was well out of hand. And with injuries mounting and quarterback Kirk Cousins clobbered repeatedly when dropping back to pass, the Redskins fell, 38-14, effectively extinguishing their playoffs hopes. With the defeat, the Redskins fell to 5-7 in an NFC playoff race that will almost certainly require 10 victories to qualify for a wild card. And the notion of winning their 4 remaining games seems fanciful, given the attrition in the ranks. Thursday's defeat, which gave Dallas 6-6, a season sweep of the Redskins, was costly. Right tackle Morgan Moses, the sole first-string offensive lineman to start every game this season, exited with a right ankle injury. Wide receiver Morris Harris followed, later diagnosed with a concussion. And the Redskins' defense, already shorthanded, allowed Dallas to rush for 182 yards and 2 touchdowns. The impact of Moses' injury was profound, shuffling assignments of an offensive line that was ailing from the start. From the second half on, Cousins was playing behind a line that included a third-string left guard, a third-string center and a backup right tackle. There was only so much Cousins could do, given the pressure from all sides, yet he still made some terrific off-script plays, on one drive, scrambling for 1 first down, and firing a 32-yard completion to wide receiver Jamison Crowder as he backpedaled out of the clutches of on-rushing defenders. Cousins finished 26 of 37 for 251 yards, with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, while being sacked 4 times. Crowder, a normally reliable asset on offense and special teams, was a flat-out hazard in the game's early going, letting a likely touchdown throw his hands into those of a Dallas defender for the game's first interception. Then he fumbled the ensuing punt return, handing Dallas a second gift. Dallas has won 4 straight against Washington and 8 of the last 10. The game shouldn't have been this difficult for the Redskins, installed as the favorite at Dallas for the first time since 2004. The Cowboys team that took the field wasn't nearly as formidable as the one that handed the Redskins a 33-19 defeat earlier in the season at FedEx Field, where Dallas running back Ezekiel Elliott rushed for a career-high 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Linebacker Sean Lee dealt a concussive blow to tight end Niles Paul and a ferocious defense forced 2 turnovers in a downpour. Thursday's night's iteration of the Cowboys lacked Elliott, serving a 6-game suspension, and Lee, their defensive captain. And the game got underway amid rumblings about Coach Jason Garrett's job security and suspicion, in some quarters, that the squad had essentially given up on the season. There was reason to wonder. The Cowboys hadn't scored more than 9 points in their past 3 losses, blown out by 20 points or more in each game. Quarterback Dak Prescott, 11 for 22, 102 yards, 2 touchdowns, hadn't thrown a touchdown pass in the past 3 games. And the squad's once-feared pass rush hadn't had a sack in the last 2 games. Dallas got off to a brutal start, going 3-and-out on back-to-back series, with Prescott sacked on their own 4 to quash the second drive. While the Redskins had more success moving the ball, their second series ended in calamity. Having marched to the Dallas 16, Cousins fired the throw that Crowder let land in the hands of Dallas safety Jeff Heath at the 2. Dallas did nothing with the gift, forced to punt again. Instead of atoning, Crowder fumbled the punt return and Dallas recovered. The quarter of mutual futility came to a scoreless end with Dallas driving. Helped along by a Redskins penalty, Prescott threw his first touchdown pass in 4 weeks, an 8-yarder to tight end Jason Witten in the end zone, to give Dallas a 7-0 lead. Trouble came for the Redskins in bunches from then on. Moses was injured on the next play, a deep shot to Josh Doctson that was well defended. Cousins, backed up and looking for an open receiver on 3rd down, was sacked by defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence, who dislodged the ball. Dallas recovered and ran it back to the Washington 19. The upshot was a 24-yard field goal that extended the Cowboys' lead, 10-0. Dallas extended the lead when Ryan Switzer ran back a punt 83 yards for a touchdown. The Redskins avoided the first-half shutout on Cousins' grit. With a scramble and 2 deep throws, he hit Ryan Grant in the corner of the end zone for a 20-yard strike. With it, the Redskins headed to the locker room trailing 17-7. Washington got the ball to open the second half, but could do nothing with it. And by then, the late-arriving crowd that had seemed almost indifferent to its Cowboys was hooting and hollering and gyrating every time Cousins was thrown to the ground. Prescott, playing with an injured hand, hit wide receiver Dez Bryant with a touchdown that made it 24-7, with cornerback Bashad Breeland unable to break up the play. With 2 seconds, at best, to get off every throw, Cousins managed to find a leaping Doctson in the end zone for a 14-yard strike that made it a 2-score game, 24-14, early in the fourth quarter. But it did nothing to change the momentum. Dallas was content to run it from there, giving each of its backs, former Redskins Alfred Morris and Rod Smith, opportunities to finish drives with 1-yard touchdown carries apiece.